Hey guys, how are you? Sean Williams here from the Grand Canyon National News Station. This following program is supposed to be a guide for all future AP literate students, and we will be sharing with you the novel Frankenstein by Mary Shelley.
Colin Sweeney here, and I'm joined by my guest here. Her name's Marie Trainer. Great gal. So Marie, on the topic of Frankenstein, what can you tell me about the story?
Very great question, Cullen. So the idea of Frankenstein is that the story takes place in the mid-1800s about a boy named Frankenstein, or Victor Frankenstein, who was raised in a small town, and he grew up with his family and had a very close connection with his mother, who passed away. Eventually he goes to university, where he takes a strong interest in galvanization, which is the science of trying to electrify something back to life. So in his time at university, he begins experimenting and has a strong fascination on trying to have a godlike effect in trying to synthesize life, eventually creating his own creature, known as the monster, throughout the story. Frankenstein eventually falls ill and loses track of the monster, so he's not sure what happens to him, and kind of loses the idea of what he's supposed to be doing and doesn't really take responsibility for the monster itself. Eventually he returns back to his hometown to visit his family, and he's struck by the many appearances that the monster has taken on his community that many people still don't know he exists. Throughout the story, there's a lot of turns throughout the plot that explain the characters involved and how Frankenstein's actions eventually come to haunt him, and how his irresponsibility with the monster ends in many tragic losses.
That was some mediocre insight. Thank you, though. Hey guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sprite, our sponsor. Couldn't be here without them, at the Grand Canyon National News Center. They just keep us going every day, keep us trucking. I got some 3 fun facts for you guys today, though. I know you're really looking forward to that. Fun fact number 1 on the day. The original storyline was thought out loud at a competition between Mary and Perry Shelley, Lord Byron, and John Pillatry to see who could write the best horror story. That's some great insight, Bob. B. Fun fact number dose. The initial edition of Frankenstein was published anonymously in 1818, and Mary Shelley was added as the author in 1823. Wow, these keep getting better and better as the night goes on. Fun fact number 3. Trace. There's a castle in Germany named Frankenstein, where alleged Mary Shelley had visited and where scientists had experimented on human bodies before. Wow. Great job over there, Colin. Good facts.
Thank you.
Sending it back to Colin over there.
Great information, Sean. Thank you for sharing. Next, we're going to move on to the characters of Frankenstein. First, we're going to start with the main character, Victor. His mom died when he was very young, and he didn't have many friends growing up. And but you know what? No one's perfect. We're all human. Next is the monster, who actually isn't human, but he's created by Victor. He learns everything through experiences. He watches, he learns, he watches like human interactions. That's how he knows about society. And then he has very strong feelings towards Victor, and all he really wants in the world is just a little bit of love. He gets lonely sometimes, and no one's perfect. Next is Elizabeth Lavenza, and she's the lover and partial family member of Victor. And then to close it out, we have William Frankenstein, the brother of Victor.
Wow, that was some good insight, Colin. Thanks for that, man. All right, we have 3 questions to consider while reading the novel. Question number 1. What factors from Victor's upbringing influence his upbringing of the so-called monster? That's a big one. That will definitely play a large role throughout the whole novel. Question 2. Why does Victor Frankenstein feel the need to play a godlike figure and create life synthetically rather than the natural process? That's going to be a tough one. Question 3. What makes a character a victim? Let me tell you, kids, you'll know by the end of the novel.
Great information, Sean. Thank you for sharing. Next, we're going to move on to the characters of Frankenstein. First, we're going to start with the main character, Victor. His mom died when he was very young, and he didn't have many friends growing up. And but you know what? No one's perfect. We're all human. Next is the monster, who actually isn't human, but It's created by Victor. He learns everything through experiences. You know, he watches, he learns, he watches like human interactions. That's how he knows about society. And then he has very strong feelings towards Victor. And all he really wants in the world is just a little bit of love. You know, he gets lonely sometimes, and you know, no one's perfect. Next is Elizabeth Lavenza, and she's the lover and partial family member of Victor. And then to close it out, we have William Frankenstein, the brother of Victor. Some difficulties the reader actually may have when reading the novel is remembering that it's a story within a story, and it's Victor in the future telling a man the story from the past. And also Victor falls ill, and then also an area that is unclear is when the monster comes to his hometown and does all his good stuff. And then is the monster really the victim, and how both their actions affected themselves.
And finally, we'll talk about what we learned in the end of the story. So something that's very important to take away from this novel is the need for a parental figure in one's life. Most of us learn from experiences and need someone else to show us right from wrong. The monster never had someone to show him these things, and most of his experiences with humans were very negative, causing him to react solely on those. Another thing that we learned of how running away from one's problems never solves anything and is just a very immature act. Both the monster and Victor choose to ignore many of their responsibilities, and it ends harshly for them. Thank you. This is Maria Trainer, and she is signing off tonight on the Grand Canyon National News.